Hi everybody, Jo here. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to this wonderful Lavinia Halloween extravaganza. I hope you enjoy the demos that we're going to be sharing with you over the next couple of days. There's going to be lots of giveaways. Basically, we're just going to have a wonderful, spooky time. So pull up your chair, grab yourself a brew, get your pumpkin ready and get that broomstick sorted. I hope you've given it its MOT. Remember, before you go out on your broomstick, it needs a good MOT. So anyway, what I thought is we'd have a bit of fun. And we've got so many fantastic Lavinia stamps that we can use, all our mystical, magical stamps. So I thought we'd have some fun with them. And what I've come up with is a design, is this little mystical, magical book. Now, I'll just move my spiders out of the way. So anybody who's got a phobia about them, don't worry, they've gone. And this is the design I've come up with. And that's the front. It's just a little book. It's only made out of card. And then we have the back. And I've got my lovely little potion bottle here, which actually has got some of my eco glitter, my Purple Delight eco glitter in. So that's my little potion. And when we take that off, put that to one side. Inside, look, we've got our lovely accordion book. Two sides, look, full of magic. Now, what I did when I came up with this idea is these toppers here are ATCs, artist trading cards. So their size is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And I know we have a very active group on our Facebook group that are swapping ATCs. And ATCs are fabulous. I've been making them and swapping them at workshops for years. But they're a great way if you're a new crafter. And we have quite a few new crafters joining us all the time. They're a lovely, lovely way. It's not too daunting. It's not too big a piece of card. And if your mojo's gone, it's a nice little piece of card that you can do your design on. So what I did was I made this book all around to fit in my ATCs. So what I thought I'd do today is I'll give you a quick heads up of how I created this with the black card. And then what we'll do is we'll create our covers, front and back. And then I'll pop back in a few days and we'll make some ATCs to go in the middle. So hopefully you like that plan. So maybe you're going to grab yourself a brew, a Halloween snack. What have you got? Is it a bat? Piece of shortbread shaped like a bat? What are you thinking? Ginger cake? Do we have ginger cake at Halloween? I don't know. I'll make myself hungry talking about food. So maybe we'll get back to my little book of magic. And if you've noticed this is a single urchin and it does make a gorgeous pumpkin. Like I say, look through your stash, you'll be amazed what you've got that is perfect for Halloween. And if you're not somebody who is a fan of Halloween, just look at it as it's a nice little mystical, magical sort of book. And that's what mine is. It's a nice magical book. So I'll take you through the measurements, how I've started off. And what I did, because I wanted this all to be around my ATCs, I decided that for my actual folder, for my book, I just cut a piece of card that I knew my ATC would fit in perfectly. So as I say, your ATC is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So this piece of card here, I cut at 6.5 inches by 4 and a smidge, 4.25 inches. And what I've done is I've scored it at 3 inches and 3 inches. So that way, when I fold on my score lines, and you don't need to see me score, you all know how to score card, I've got my little folder. And that, I was thinking, would give me enough depth. Obviously, if you want to put more pages in. And what I love is I'm a bit of one of those, you know, if I follow a recipe at home, if I'm cooking, I alter it. I do things in my head. So it's like this. If I wanted a bigger space here, I would just make the whole measurement larger and have a bigger spine to my book. And then when it comes my insert, all I've done is taken an A4 piece, so this length here is my A4, and I've just cut the card down to 4 inches. And then I scored at 3 inches, and what happens is you get 3 inches, 3 inches, 3, and this one's just under 3. The reason I chose an A4 is because we've all got A4 in, and you know me, I don't want to make life difficult. So to make it easy, so what I've done is this piece here that's a little bit shorter, that's the piece that's going there, so that then I will fold this to make my accordion. And because it's black on black, look, nobody will notice that that one is a little bit shorter. So that's the design, and that's how, what you will do is just glue that onto there. And that's your lovely little book ready to go. So that's your basis, nice and easy. Now to get onto the stamping bit. So as I say, my ATCs are going to be going on here. So again, if you're somebody who makes ATCs, you'll already have those pieces of card ready cut. Now I'm hoping I described that properly. Anybody who struggles, just drop me a message, because I know sometimes it can be difficult when you're trying to understand somebody, especially me, who talks a lot of rubbish half the time. So what I did for my cover, so again, I just cut my card so that it would fit on the front and the back with just a nice little border. And I've got a little slip of card, which again will just go down my spine. Now you could just decorate this directly if you wanted on the card. As I say, I've just got my multifarious card cut to size. And for those of you that want to know what size these are 4 inches by 2 3/4. And this one is the 4 inches and it's by 1/4 of an inch. And again, I must admit, I just do it to fit. So as I say, I just knew I wanted a nice little black border. Using the black card gives me a nice frame. I love framing things with black. And again, when we're talking a book of spells, it's a good colour to use, isn't it? So what we're going to do today mainly is decorate the covers. Now, because I wanted to sort of create this book idea, I got my stamps together that I was going to use, and then I was thinking about ink pads. So for me, what I decided, I chose 4 of my Elements ink pads, and they're the only 4 ink pads I used because I wanted the book, look, I wanted it to have continuity and for it to look like it all went together, that there's a running theme. And so for me, colour's very important with that. So I wanted to make sure I stuck with the same 4 colours. I didn't want to introduce lots of different colours. So the colours that I've chosen, now I've gone for the Elements because I know a lot of you have bought the Elements ink pads. And, you know, when you've bought something, we want to keep using it, don't we? So I've gone for Sundance. I knew I needed some bright somewhere. And then I've gone for Paprika because that's going to bring in my orangey colour to go with the yellow. And then to add that sort of mystical sort of moodiness, I've gone for Merlot and then the Graphite. And these I found blended really well to give me that mystical feel. And what I did was I got myself 4 smoothies together, 1 for each colour of my lovely Lavinia blenders, look, so that then I know I'm using for the whole of my book design. I've got my inks here, I've got my blenders, and I've got a couple of VersaFine Clairs that I'm going to use, the Nocturne, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of Morning Mist. And not only do I find it's a good way because I know exactly which colours I'm going to use, but also, again, if you're just starting off, it just shows you don't need to have every colour going to create a nice project. And what I tend to do when I'm doing these sorts of things is I'm going to do my stamping first. And I sort of have an idea in my head the way that I'm going to take this. And I knew I wanted the Cauldron on both of these. Now the Cauldron comes with Willow the Witch, so I knew I needed that stamp. And I fancied using the large path. And when I sort of came up with the design, I wasn't sure what the cauldron would look like on the large path. So again, that's where, remember, use your acetate. So again, I just put the acetate on my card and had a look and thought, yes, I'm happy with that. So again, make sure you remember to keep using your acetate. And what I'm going to do, get myself my Lavinia block, is I'm just going to stamp the path first. Now again, when you're doing, I'll call these just book covers front and back, you can make them the same, or you can stamp different pictures. Again, that's really up to you. I sort of, when I'm doing this, I want to use all my stamps, you see, so I sort of have different designs, but I like to have a sort of a theme running through. So although my scene is going to be different on the front and back, I want to incorporate the cauldron on both of them, and that's almost going to be my theme. Just it sort of keeps that continuity and helps it look like it's a full sort of project, almost like a thread of the story. So I'll stamp that there. And again, me being me, I'm just going to, with a damp cloth, clean my stamps and then my inky binky. And that's just for me, because if I don't, I know I'm going to get ink on my hand when I next touch them. So I'll come in with the cauldron. I've got one of my little blocks here. I'm just going to put my little book in front of me so it gives me an idea. So again, ink up the cauldron, and again I've just caught my block, so with my inky binky I'm just going to take off a little bit of that ink. And then, sorry if I put my head over, but I just want to pop my cauldron there so it's on top of those steps. Perfect. If you had a little bit of a gap, don't worry, just get your black fine liner and just extend the cauldron's feet and it'll be fine. And then this one, we're just going to put the cauldron over here. And again, just give that a quick clean and put that down. Now in the corner, I've got this gorgeous fairy web. You need a bit of a fairy web, don't you? I'm just going to need my bigger block for this. Must admit, like I say, I've had such fun looking through all my stamps, deciding which ones to use. Now I'm going to put that right across the corner there. And then ink it up again. And I'm doing all my stamping in black, just because I think sort of Halloween silhouettes. Now this one, I'm going to put my spider's web in the opposite corner. Almost a bit of a sort of a mirror reflection. And then what I want to do is just add some spider's web on this middle bit, so it almost gives me that continuity. I'm just going to take this little piece and then just see how I can get some spider's web on there. There we go. I mean, as I say, you could leave that blank. You could stamp a sentiment down there. Again, it very depends on sort of, you know, what sort of design you're after. So my fairy web can go back. Now for me, the fairy web needs a little friend on it. And again, if you're one of these, I know there's quite a few people that are squeamish with little bugs. Maybe you better just look away. And I have this lovely bug set here. And there's my little friend. What should we call him? Sammy Spider. And we'll just stamp him. So on this one, we're going to have him dangling down. Put him there. And then for a change on this one, we'll actually put him in the web. And I'm just sort of building up the idea, the stamping. I want to do the stamping first, and then I'm going to add lots of colour. So I think I'll leave it at that. So what I'm going to do now is add some ink and then come in with some foliage in the foreground. Just because that's the way that my head works. And I like to do the two of these at once. So I'm just going to give this a little blot. You know, it's good to get used to blotting your work, because again, it's a slower drying ink. We've used VersaFine Clair. And what I will do is I'm just going to, with my heat tool, it's a bit of belt and braces. Blotting it should be good enough. But the last thing I want to do now is start blending and smudge those lovely images. And you know me, if I don't do this, you know what will happen? It will smudge. Is that Murphy's Law? It's a bit like if you need to make a card for somebody special. You know that black finger mark's going to appear near the end, don't you? So we've got our stamping, and we want to add some nice colour now. And again, I'm going to make these at the same time, just because for me, it's just the way my head works, it's easier. And I'm going to come in with the Sundance first, and just my blender. Now again, I'm just going to come straight in, and I'm going to add some yellow here. And don't worry about what it looks like, because we're just going to blend. We just want an idea of that yellow there. And the same with this one here. And then I'm going to come in with my paprika, my orangey colour. Just going to take a little bit of that off. And I'm going to add sort of a bit of a fiery orange at the bottom. And as I say, for me, I do them both at once. So I'll come in with this one and add a bit of orange. Sorry, excuse me. Then I'm going to come in back with the yellow and just blend between the yellow and the orange. And it's just going to look like we've got that gorgeous colour coming out of the cauldron. And then what we're going to do is we'll add some colour around. Now, I know this looks like you've almost got some lines. Don't worry. We're just going to blend that into the background. So what we'll do is bring some Merlot next. And I'm just going to use my piece of kitchen roll. And again, I'm going to put some ink on my craft mat. And I'm going to start at the bottom corner because that's where I want my deepest colour. And I'm just going to add some ink all the way around. And again, I'm going to blend into that orange and yellow when I come to it. Just moving. And don't worry, the spider's floating at the minute, but he won't be. And then what I'll do is bring in my moon mask. Although actually I may wait and do that with the grey actually. I think I'll leave that with just the purple. And I'm going to do the same on this one. It's quite funny, I don't know about you, but for me, trying to do the same thing twice, I sort of start mixing it up. And like I say, it's like with recipes. I tend to add little bits depending how I'm feeling. Are you like that? I know some people can literally follow a plan and make the same card again and again. I tend to just, I don't know, my head sort of wanders and I think, oh, I'll do this today, I'll do that today. I'm going to go over the steps. And then what I will do is come back in with a little bit of the yellow, and again, just blend that colour in that area, adding some more yellow. And the same with this one. Just brighten it up with a bit more yellow and a bit deeper the orange. And what I'm going to do is just put the lids on those ink pads just for the minute. And in with my graphite now. And this is where I'm going to bring in my landscape mask. Right, let's have a look. Which one should we go for? There we go. I'd already got the one I wanted out. No wonder I couldn't find it. And what we'll do is we'll just ground our cauldron there. So on with my graphite onto the mat. I'm going to start under the cauldron because that'll give me more shade, and then just lighter out to the edges. And what you're making here really is just a couple of little mini pieces of artwork. And I've got to be honest, I love doing this. So that's grounded it, and then I want it a bit more dramatic, so I'm going to come in with the graphite. Is a great colour for this, and go all the way around the edges. And you'll see it really adds such a dramatic, and it's such a lovely colour, because if you're scared of black, I know some people are worried about blending black, but when you add the graphite, because it's almost not the jet black, it just tones beautifully. I love it with the Merlot. So there we go. We've already, I think, starting to build up that atmosphere. And like I say, look how this, don't worry too much about these harsh edges, because we're going to add detail to it. And if it's one thing I want to show you, it's that you don't have to be very precious about your blending. So this one as well, we'll get our mask, which I very carefully just put to the side, haven't I? Here it is. And again, we'll just add some, let's get a good shape, there we go. We'll go right across. Our steps will look better if they just have a bit of something across. There we go, that's better. And then the same thing. So I'll start on the corners again, because I like the corners deeper. Go round into the corner. And then up the side. I don't want to come in the side very far. A bit more on that corner. Let's have a look. Yeah, I like that. What I have forgotten to do is add some to my little bit here. But what I will do is, I've got enough on my mat here, look. And I'm going to come in with the Merlot. And just hold your card down, because it can flip up almost. So I'm picking up what's on my mat. And what I'll do is add the Merlot there, and then come in with the graphite at the base, almost just to ground it. And then pick a bit more of the Merlot there over where it joins. What I might do is just add a little bit of that orange at the top. Yeah. And then when I put the three together, look. Yeah, I like that. Now, put my lid on. So for me, this one here with the steps look a bit flat. So I'm thinking, let's use this ink here. If I get one of my Lavinia brushes, get some of the graphite, and let's just add just a little bit, just to add a bit. While we've got the colour. And then I'll just wipe this up with my cloth. Mr. Inky Binky. Just so I've got a nice surface. I have to say, this is such a lovely project. I had such a wonderful time creating this. Now, my spider is hanging a little bit, isn't it? So let's just give him a bit of a spider's web. There we go. Now, if by any chance you've, say, missed the edge, say like here where I have, just add a little bit to take it right to the edge. Nobody will ever know. Now, that spider doesn't need to hang, does he? Now, it looks a bit bare around here to me. So let's add a little bit more stamping. And I'm going to come in with the Silhouette Foliage stamps. Two lovely stamps, these. And again, I'm just going to turn my work and I'll go back to the black. And this one will have some first and second generation. And I think it'll really ground this one. And like I say, for continuity, I'll just add one on this side and one on that side. And then I love this one with the little bobbles on. So I'm going to add one of these in the middle there. I like that. I like the difference. I didn't want to use the same one all the way along. And then this side, let's just go one there. Maybe one, it's an angle there. And at the base here, I wonder if I can just get one. Yeah. Right. So let me turn them around so we can see how we're looking. And again, this is just in my head, how I build up my designs. And as I say, they're just nice little pictures, little works of art. Now, the other thing in my book, if I bring it back, one of the things that I've used running through is the Sacred Spell stamp look. And I've used it on every page. Because again, I like to have an element that goes through every little page of my book. So what I'm going to do now is get my Sacred Spells. And I'm going to use my grey ink, the Morning Mist, because I want it, I'm going to use second generation as well, but I want it to be quite light, you see. And I'm not putting it on a block. I want to almost feel where the stamps go in. Now, if you notice, I've got an arrow on the back of my stamp here, just so I know which way up. Now I'm thinking this one first on the front. Let's go there. That's nice. And again, we're using second generation, and because it's not on the block, I almost get a nice, it's not a definite edge. So remember, first generation on my copy of paper, and we'll go right across the two here. And again, sort of roll it. That's nice, that's just enough. As I say, I don't want the Sacred Spells too in your face. I just want it as a running theme. So all that's left now is some finishing touches. So I'm just going to put my ink pads out of the way here because I need a nice space to work. I don't know about you, but for me, it's again the way my head works. Now what I'm going to use is I've got some of my mica minerals and I'm going with the Silver Pearl, and I've got my little applicator here. Again, always time for a nice cheeky coffee, isn't there? And I'm just going to put some of the powder on my desk. Just put it straight on my craft mat. And I'm going to come in and just add a little bit of water. And again, you don't want to add too much, just add a little bit, and then if you need, add a little bit more. And I just want one of my fine paintbrushes. I think this is number 1. And what I want to get is, I was walking Eric down the lane this morning, and I love the cobwebs first thing when they have, you know, that the dew, the rain on, and you get that gorgeous shiny. So I want to almost try and get that. So what I thought is, now I don't want to paint, oh, I've dropped some water there. I don't want to paint exactly on my lines of my spider's web because I almost don't want to lose that line. So I'm just going to add a little bit sort of to the side, and I'm not going to do it on every single one because I don't want it to distract from the beautiful artwork, but I almost want to enhance it. So I'm just going to add a few almost glistening bits in my spider's web. And then I'm just going to add where we've got the highlights here on the cauldron, look. Just add a few, and then just on the top here, just as though it's catching the top of the steps, and just a few on my florals. And we'll add a few. And again, I just think it sort of adds to that mystical, that's on the spine. And then here we've got this, the one we drew, there we go. And then just, now you probably have a much steadier hand than mine. Believe you me, the instant I think YouTube, my hand starts to shake and you know what it's like. My throat goes, I start coughing and my hand starts shaking, honestly. We'll add some highlights here and a few on our flowers. And then what we will do is we'll just add a little bit more water. And then let's just add a few as though we've got that nice sort of explosion, the cauldron. I'll just add some in there. And then what I'm going to do is add a few little flicks as well with this. And the mica, I just think, well, especially around there, it'll dry absolutely beautifully. And again, because we've added the water, I know a lot of people ask if these need to be fixed. Because we've added the water, that almost fixes it itself. It's not easy to say that. And then if I just bring these in. So the only other thing I've done on my finished one is I've added a few white orbs, and for that I've used my white pastel pencil, but I waited until this has dried because obviously you can't do it while it's wet. I'm just going to dry that so I've got a nice clean mat. And then the last little thing I did was I just added a few more bits of grass. Just, Tracy's got grass there, so I added a few more, just again to complement the whole design. And then because this is going to go on my book cover, what I did do, I used a spray fixative. Now I've used a spray and shine. You can get lots of spray fixatives, and for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this mica sort of 10 minutes or so to dry, and then I'm going to spray this with a spray fixative. And what it means then is that when the book cover's being handled, with it being spray and shine, it gives it a shimmer, but also, as I say, with the book being handled, it means I know the ink's not going to come off on anybody's hands, and it can be handled really well. So I'm going to let that dry now, and as I say, I'm going to spray it, and then what I will do is when it's sprayed, I shall attach it to the front, the spine, and the back of my book cover, and then I'm going to pop back in a few days and we'll make some ATCs to go inside, and we'll finish off the whole book. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'll bring in the actual book. Let's pop our little elastic on it. This just helps to keep it closed. And for me, it's any excuse to use a little glass bottle. So if I put that there. So thank you for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. You take care, and I'll see you in a couple of days to finish off. I'll give you a couple of days to get your outside together, and then we can make some ATCs and glue them inside. So you take care, everybody. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.